Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Modern Firm. I'm your host, Noah Scher, and today I'm joined by Angela Roberts, the founder of Maine Accounting Services, a firm that's been helping small business owners stay financially confident and tax ready for nearly a decade. Angela, thank you so much for being here. Excited to have you on.
Well, thanks, Noah. It's great to be here.
Of course. So let's dive right in. Angela, you've been running Maine Accounting Services for over 9 years now, which is no small feat. So can you tell us kind of your journey throughout everything, throughout the early days, what inspired you to launch the firm, and how did you carve out your niche?
Oh, great questions. Um, I took some time off to raise kids. My degree is in accounting. I was a corporate controller in Chicago. I had, the business going, but I took some time off to spend with my kids as I was raising them. And when I tried to go back in the workforce, I was told by a recruiter that I was obsolete, irrelevant, and kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I thought, well, I'll show you. And so I started my own business. It did take me hours and hours, weeks, months of prep, just reading and looking at engagement letter samples and figuring out a name and logos and websites and insurance, all those things. So I spent a lot of time just reading and educating myself, and then got my first client. And I don't know if you want to go into that, how I got my first
Totally.
client.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to work for a friend of mine who was a CPA, had her own firm, and I did that for one season and realized I do not want to do taxes. And she had a small business client that was a law firm, and she said she needs bookkeeping, and so she was my first client. And I educated myself on trust accounting for law firms. I tried my best to offer the best customer service. She was my only client. I was spending so much time on her,
Mhm.
not even billing her, just really learning QuickBooks and the type of reports that I was going to offer and develop my systems. And then she told a friend who told a friend who told a friend. It's just that, referral after referral. And I got to the point where I was working 7 days a week and I couldn't keep up. And I knew I had to hire people, and I did, and had systems developed. I always wrote down everything I did in an SOP. So I was able to hire team members and kind of hand off those procedures, develop the culture, um, and a infrastructure. Now this is over 9 years, right? So building and building. And then the key, I think, for me is just maintaining that culture. We still think about what we offer our clients. We still keep customer service at the top of our minds. And all the people that are on our team have that culture instilled in them. So yeah, and then it just started getting bigger and bigger, and I started stepping away. I don't do accounting anymore. So
Yeah.
because I have an amazing team that can take care of that stuff.
That's very inspiring. A lot of people, I think, would, after hearing a recruiter say something like that, would kind of take it to heart and maybe be beat down and kind of give up. That's a majority of people, right? So it's inspiring that you kind of were like, I'll show you, right?
I'll show you.
Who's laughing now? Angela. So I know you work closely with, small business owners and whatnot in your firm. What are some of the biggest financial challenges that you guys see them make, and what's your approach to kind of help them dig out of that hole?
Cash flow. Cash flow, I think, is always a big challenge for small business owners because they think that if they have a good profit and loss, meaning that they have a good, they're making money on their P&L, but they're not planning for paying back debt or taking distributions or tax planning. So I think cash flow is probably one of the biggest requests I hear from our clients, like, how do I manage this?
Mhm.
And then staffing, benchmarking, how to look at how much money you're supposed to be spending in each kind of big bucket. So we always say, like, if your employee costs as a percentage of income are very high, let's say 50, 60%, well, that you don't have a lot of room for other expenses. So staffing, making sure that you have enough income to pay your employees
Mhm.
or yourself. So just trying to understand the financials and their cash flow, I think, are two big challenges for small business owners.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to make decisions when you don't have any financial insight, right? Totally. So Angela, I know one thing that you guys emphasize is helping your clients be tax ready all year, not just during tax season. So what does that look like in practice, and why is it so important, would you say, to someone who maybe doesn't know why?
Well, that's a good question. I think, well, number one, keeping accurate books on a regular monthly basis. So we reconcile everything, all the balance sheet accounts. We make sure we understand everything that's in those accounts. You know, even all the loans are reconciled, all the bank accounts are reconciled every month, even car loans. We're making sure we look at those statements and we're asking questions. If we see something that doesn't make sense to us, it was a large deposit into their account. We're not sure if that's sales, then it will maybe alert us that they got a loan that we didn't know about. So asking questions and reconciling every month, then looking at those P&Ls and seeing where the profit is. If the profit is growing and growing, it's, in my opinion, it's a time to reach out to the CPA. Have your client reach out to CPA and say, well, it looks like I'm going to be making a lot more money this year. Do we have any tax strategy? And then encouraging our clients to put some money away for tax payments or to ensure that they're paying those estimated quarterly taxes.
Totally, yeah. I mean, that's I like that you guys take that approach. I feel like a lot of firms kind of just give businesses, just dump the financials on them without any explanation or
Right.
further speaking, and that's why a lot of people like hate their accountant or hate their bookkeeper, right? It's because of that. So I like that you guys take that approach. It's more of like a relationship, not just like a vendor.
It is. And if they have a CPA that isn't having quarterly meetings with them, we might suggest that they reach out to them and start having those quarterly meetings
Yeah.
because I think they're important to have. People don't want a big, huge tax bill in the beginning of the year when they could have been planning for tax strategy and doing some investments during the year.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, having the insight is what you need to kind of, it's the foundation of everything.
Right.
So, Andrew, I'd like to shift gears a bit and speak a little bit more about your firm. What's your guys' team size? What are your guys' goals? Like, where are you looking to go? You guys looking to kind of maintain what you have? Are you guys in growth mode? What's the future for you guys?
Well, the future is always unknown, right? My
Right?
crystal ball broke. I don't know. But we usually have between 12 and 14 full-time employees, and we are always looking to add
Yeah.
new team members because the referral pipeline is still happening. We see a lot of it January. This year, actually, was the first year we didn't put a hold on the pipeline in January. So we had a lot of new um, referrals coming in January, February. So we're open to taking new clients. Now we did niche. I didn't answer your question before. No, we did decide to niche with law firms a few years ago, and that's really helped with keeping the team all trained on the same process, and we can repeat our SOPs for each client that way. Um, I lost my train of thought
No
completely.
worries. No worries.
Yeah, so we are growing. As long as the pipeline is happening, we'll continue to grow and keep adding valuable team members.
Hell yeah, absolutely. So on that note, with growth and new trends and whatnot, and with all the new technology, there's so much buzz around everything, especially in the accounting space. Are you guys utilizing any tools or systems to, stay efficient or deliver results for clients, or what are you guys seeing the shift with that?
Well, when I graduated from college many, many, many years ago, I was told by a lot of family members, accounting's going to go away, computers are going to take over. And, I think that over my 30 years in this business, things have evolved, they've changed. And if you don't keep up with it, then you might get left behind. We don't utilize any desktop products. We're completely cloud-based. We're completely virtual. And we are looking at softwares continuously. We do go to the American Bar Association Tech Show every year because we support law firms. We want to keep up with even the law firm software that they're using. As far as internally, we do pivot from time to time, try to keep our apps as, few apps as possible. But there are a lot of, like, for example, QA app, quality assurance apps that will connect to QuickBooks. So you can do basically an AI audit of the books. We're always trying to utilize new technology to be more efficient. And it's a challenge. It just has to be a priority that we're continually looking at software solutions,
Totally.
including AI. I was a little hesitant, but we are starting to use some AI solutions as well.
Totally. I mean, it's all about just continuous learning and it's new for everyone, right? Especially AI. I'll give you a little background actually. I come from a line of CPAs and accountants and everything like that. And then the business I do now is I work with firm owners to implement AI into their business, right? And so when I first started this business, my uncle, who's the firm owner, he told me like that's not a good idea. Like you're gonna make all these people obsolete, and he had no idea about any of it, right? That's what so many people think when we first speak with them is they think that AI is this scary thing that they should like be afraid of. It's gonna get rid of accountants, is what we've been hearing for the last few years. That's a load of garbage. Accountants are
Right?
going nowhere. The profession is gonna evolve, yes, but that's with every profession, right?
Right.
Same thing when the internet came out, and I feel like I'm always saying this, but when the internet came out, there were so many companies who were hesitant to adopt it, right? And then they were forced to later on because it's just new technology, you evolve. Industry's going nowhere. Accounting is always going to be in demand. My dad always told me this. Accounting is like the number one profession that is like recession proof, right? Because regardless if
Everybody needs one.
exactly.
Everybody needs an accountant.
Exactly. Regardless if we're in a pandemic or a recession or a war, like books gotta be in order and taxes need to be filed and everything needs to stay the course, right? So,
Right.
being able to leverage new technology rather than being afraid of it is the key, in my opinion.
And pivoting to advisory, I mean, I kind of hate that word advisory because it means something different to different people, and everybody was using it in the last couple of years. Oh, switch to advisory. But what does that mean? I think um, my husband used to call me a bean counter even way back in the day, and I'm like, I'm not a bean counter, I'm a bean analyzer. And I think it shift to that focus. Like anybody can count the beans, but what value do you bring to your clients by analyzing those?
Yeah. Absolutely. On that note, yeah, I agree with you. There's so much buzz around the word advisory now too. So your firm has spent nearly a decade, supporting entrepreneurs and businesses and whatnot. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned as a founder and as a business owner?
I think listening to your clients, well, that and our clients are lawyers. They don't necessarily have a financial background. And so being able to explain financials to a non-financial person has been challenging for me. I'm just think they understand what a P&L is and a balance sheet.
Hmm.
Explaining their financials and doing it in a way that they understand. Also listening to what they're asking. They're asking for certain things. My first client asked if I could put her owner draw on the P&L, and I said, "No, I can't." And she said, "But I can't see it. I don't know what that looks like." So that's when I developed a cash flow statement of cash flows for her so she could see where her money was going, and not just the P&L side of it. And I think that was really an important decision to deliver those reports to our clients to kind of combine the balance sheet and P&L so they understand where their money's going
Hmm.
and where their money's coming from. And as a business owner, there's certain things I want to see, and I think, oh, they would probably like to see that too.
Hmm.
So kind of getting in that mindset of me as a business owner, what I want to see and providing the same to them.
Totally. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'd like to kind of touch on what we just hit on, in regards to the accounting profession and whatnot. And apart from AI and what we just spoke about, have you seen a shift in the accounting world in the last, few years? And if so, where do you see it headed and kind of everything like that? Besides, obviously, like AI, I know we touched on that.
Well, accounting, there's CPAs, EAs, accountants, bookkeepers. I think from what I've seen, the people who are actually preparing tax returns, we're losing a lot of them.
Hmm.
They're retiring or they don't want to handle these kinds of conversations with cash flow or tax strategy. I see that a bookkeeper or accountant without doing tax role is really more informative to the clients and getting them engaged with their numbers. I think that everybody's scrambling to get that perfect technology down. I think it's a work in progress. Years ago, I used to say, I wish I could just get this UIP whip that's tattooed on my forehead. I wish I could just remove that. But I realized it's never going away. We're always a work in progress and just staying in tune with what's going on.
100%. Yeah, I mean, technology is ever evolving, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember, Angela, but AI, when it first came out like a few years ago, was absolutely garbage.
Yes.
Just very terrible. And I mean, it's growing and growing and changing. So who knows what the future will look like? I think it's that the biggest thing that we could do is just try to learn it, try to implement it, and stay true to your clients and just kind of being the realest person you can, right? Not hopping on trends and um, trying to get a quick buck. I think a lot of people, especially in my generation, they think that, starting a business is just finding a bunch of clients. It's so easy. You're going to make so much money and it doesn't come with like the struggle, right? Every single firm owner that I've spoken with on this podcast and outside of the podcast has told me that it is harder than when they used to work in corporate. It's harder than when they used to have a job, right? Especially in the beginning, at least. Obviously, there's going to be good along the road, but in the first few years, like building everything and failing, and when you see your friends that have stable jobs and they're making cushy money and you're on a business making no money and you're struggling, it's all about, that mindset and just continue to push.
Absolutely.
Totally. Um, Angela, this has been a great conversation. I have one last question for you, for the audience, is what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to start their own firm, but is unsure with this ever-changing world and all the new trends and everything? What is your one piece of advice that you would give to them to kind of get them to take the leap?
One of the things I did was join a group of fellow accountants, and that's where I got my confidence. I was out on my own, doing my own thing. I wasn't sure, am I on the cutting edge? Am I not on the cutting edge? And I joined a roundtable group with other accountants so I could kind of get some ideas off of. And it gave me so much more confidence that I was on the right track, or let me know when I wasn't on the right track, and having resources. So I would say join a group so that you don't feel so alone.
Yeah, especially in the beginning, right? Before you have
Right.
that traction.
Absolutely. And the group, I'm still with the group, but maybe I don't use it as my coaching services. I'm trying to give back to that group now with the lessons I've learned.
Totally. No, I love that. Angela, if people are interested in, reaching out to you or finding a little bit more about your business, where's the best place that they could reach you at?
Our website, mainaccounting.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we will make sure to link everything in the show notes. And for anyone who is in a financial mess, any business owner who's listening and needs some clarity, I want you guys to go check out Angela, all right? Thank you, Angela, so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks, Noah. I really appreciate it.
Of course.